The wheels are coming off of Donald Trump's administration, and it is always going to bring a smile to my face to say that, because as we see resignations in Congress, and more to come, by the way, as well as those in Donald Trump's administration, it makes one thing clear. MAGA is fracturing in a state of civil war, which is why it was so surprising, or I guess it shouldn't be at this point, that Donald Trump this weekend abandoned Pete Hegseth as a major leak scandal was breaking out. We are going to get into it all and the implications for this disastrous, corrupt, and criminal foreign policy Donald Trump is carrying out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this story and how Trump has just turned his back on an idiotic and probably intoxicated Pete Hegseth, I want to start with what Republican Senator Rand Paul said about Donald Trump's fake anti-war agenda in this clip right here.
I'm going to ask you, because of your position on Homeland Security, you may have some insight into the drug cartels. You are also on Senate Foreign Relations, and it is tomorrow that the Trump administration officially will designate the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization. That's the cartel the Trump administration says is linked to Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Secretary Hegseth says it gives the administration new tools. Nothing's on or off the table, he says, militarily. Legally, what changes tomorrow? What becomes possible?
I think by doing this, they're pretending as if we are at war. They're pretending as if they've gotten some imprimatur to do what they want. When you have war, the rules of engagement are lessened. So, for example, we normally don't shoot boats that we suspect of being drug dealers. In fact, if the Coast Guard tomorrow started shooting all vessels that are off of Miami or off of San Diego, about 1 in 4 of the vessels that they normally board doesn't have drugs. So it actually would be unlawful if the Coast Guard started blowing up boats. But for some reason, they say, oh, we're at war off the coast of Venezuela, and so it's a different rule of engagement. It's one of war. But, you know, Senator Kaine and I brought this up, and we said if it's war, let's declare it as war. Let's have this discussion. Is it war or not? And the administration refused that. They want to have it both ways. They want to say, oh, we can just say these people are terrorists or narco-terrorists, so we can blow them up. But it's extraordinary that when some of them survive, they pluck them out of the water. They don't prosecute them for drugs. They don't collect drugs. They don't tell us if they were armed or not.
Everybody can see it. Everybody can see the lies. Donald Trump has told us again and again and again throughout this presidency to not believe our lying lies on every single issue he ran on. Prices, they're up. Trump says, don't believe it. He is indiscriminately bombing people in international waters. He said he was anti-war. He says, don't believe it. The Epstein cover-up is the most obvious thing we've ever seen, and he says, look away. But no one is looking away, especially as it has come out that Donald Trump is literally taking his talking points from Putin. We believed it all along. We've been saying it all along. We were called crazy for saying it. But now who's crazy? And Mark Kelly called it out right here before we get into how this all relates to Pete Hegseth.
Here is how Senator Rounds described it.
What he told us was that this was not the American proposal. This was a proposal which was received by someone who has identified and they believe to be representing Russia in this proposal. It was given to Mr. Witkoff.
Margaret, they've got to clear this up. You have Rubio's talking to my Senate colleagues saying one thing, the spokesperson for the State Department saying another. Your conversations with the White House contradict what the Secretary of State and, by the way, the National Security Advisor, same guy, has said about this. They've got to figure this out and get the message out and explain to the American people what's going on. I will say this, that plan, that's Putin's plan. That is a very good deal for Russia. It is a horrible deal for Ukraine, for our allies, and even for our own national security. If Putin gets the chance with that deal to, rearm, rebuild his economy, and gained territory, by the way, that's what he wanted. Well, then the Baltics, Poland, Romania, all those other countries down the line are at threat.
So were we crazy for thinking the guy who loves Vladimir Putin, constantly talks about how much he loves Vladimir Putin? Apparently, according to Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Putin has some photos of Donald Trump with Bubba, whether that be a certain former president, some saying it might be a horse. It doesn't matter who it is. There's a Putin connection now with Epstein and Trump, so that should make us all feel great. We were crazy for saying that this guy was taking talking points from Russia when Russian state TV said Trump was taking talking points from Russia, and now it has been proven that Trump was taking talking points from Russia, and we're crazy? Yeah, I don't really think so. But as Donald Trump was trying to resolve this all and calm tensions with Republican senators who are freaking out over one of the biggest scandals we've ever seen, who got on the phone after this leaked? Well, it wasn't Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense. Margaret Brennan reported that a senior White House official told CBS that there was a call last night held by Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, along with Army Secretary Driscoll and U.S. military leadership, in order to answer questions from some concerned lawmakers about this report about Trump just taking talking points from Russia. Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch pointed out that it was a Saturday night, so Hegseth, who wasn't on the call, was likely in no condition to participate, of course, because he was probably putting it back a couple of beers. And likely in an effort to make up for Donald Trump turning his back on Pete Hegseth in this moment, Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon are now investigating Senator Mark Kelly over illegal order video, the one that he put out with several Democratic lawmakers, and are now threatening a court-martial. Again, Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch thinking the same thing as me of Pete Hegseth, writing, such a small, petty, insecure loser. The Trump administration didn't trust this drunken fool anywhere near the Ukraine negotiations, so they sent the Sec of the Army instead. So this clown needs to play more stupid games. So in Donald Trump's time of crisis, when he needs questions answered, when he needs to resolve conflict, which, by the way, has not been resolved with this Republican leadership, with these Republicans in Congress furious with Donald Trump over this scandal, who does he not call? Pete Hegseth. The Secretary of the Army, Driscoll, yeah, sure. Marco Rubio, yes. J.D. Vance, who has no political experience whatsoever. But not Pete Hegseth? He's not getting Pete Hegseth on this phone call? Pete Hegseth nowhere to be seen? Donald Trump just completely turning his back as all of this information is leaking out? Donald Trump says probably don't want to get the guy involved who loves to leak and has such a storied history of doing so? What does that tell you about the relationship between Trump and Hegseth? And there have already been some rumors within this administration that maybe someone's gonna get the stanky boot. That it might be Bondi over the handling the Epstein files, Kash Patel for the same reason, Kristi Noem because she's generally incompetent, Pete Hegseth, but before the midterms, someone might get booted. Donald Trump might be looking for a head to roll. Why? Because he understands that people hate this fucking horrible administration. And so Pete Hegseth, as he always is, playing to the audience of one that is Donald Trump, because his job, of course, is not to serve the American people and keep us safe. What a crazy idea that would be. He is now saying that he is going to court-martial. He's going to call him back into service, Senator Mark Kelly, to court-martial him. Why? Because he said, hey, if Donald Trump tells you to break the law, don't. And Donald Trump took that as such an offense. Oh my God, he's telling them to disobey our orders. No. He said illegal orders. Why did you think that meant all of your orders? Are all of your orders illegal? Oh, there it is, on the nose. All of them are illegal. Not all of them, but you know what I mean. Like, they are. Donald Trump bypassing Congress to bomb Iran, indiscriminately blowing up innocent fishermen in international waters. These are crimes. Donald Trump is breaking the law. So yes, you should disobey illegal orders. And Pete Hegseth, the criminal that he is, really? The high ground here? Yeah, I don't think so. This is all theater. They are playing to the audience of one because Donald Trump understands how weak he is in this moment. That is what we have to keep hammering home. That he is weak, that he is terrified, that he doesn't want us to expose the crisis within MAGA, the crisis within his White House, that it is all falling apart. It is all falling apart. And so we have to continue to hammer him on this, on the Epstein files, on everything. And that is exactly what Senator Amy Klobuchar did, calling out Trump for this scandal, for his threats, and so much more in a clip that you got to check out.
Well, what is dangerous is not restating what is in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which says that our troops cannot follow unlawful orders very clearly. What is dangerous is the President of the United States threatening these members of Congress with death, literally saying that they should be executed. As Mark Kelly said, he is someone who has flown a plane that a missile land nearly on that plane. He has taken in anti-aircraft fire. He has launched into space, into orbit on behalf of his country. And he never thought that a president of the United States would try to execute him or to tell people. This is not at all a game. My dear friend, Melissa Hortman, the former Speaker of the House, and her husband were killed in cold blood with someone who was engaging in political violence. That was the shooter. Or my other friends there took, between them, a husband and wife, 17 shots. Or what happened to Charlie Kirk, that assassination. Members of Congress threats have gone from 1,600 to over 14,000 in just a few years, and that is every year. That's what we're dealing with right now.
I hear what you're saying about those horrific acts of political violence, Senator. I wonder, do you know what the specific illegal acts are that your Democratic colleagues were referring to there?
Well, it's very clear in this code for the military that you cannot follow unlawful orders. And, you know, that would be, I'll just use an example. Some of the judges have now found in certain cities that it is not legal to send in the National Guard. And those National Guard members have come home. Some of them are still there. But if their commander were to tell them, hey, go out on the streets and do this and that, that's not following the order that is in law. So I just use that example. I'm sure my colleagues would have others. But the key is this has been a long-time tenet of the American military. And it is very clearly right there. And that is all our colleagues were saying. And they have every right to say it. They have served our country bravely. They know what they're talking about. And then this president's answer was to basically tell them, he retweeted someone else saying they should be hanged.
Let me ask you about another topic that got a lot of attention, started the week, Congress overwhelmingly voting to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. The president signed the bill this week. Do you have faith that the Justice Department will follow through and, in fact, release all of the Epstein files, Senator?
I don't know how the Congress could be clearer on this, Kristen. The Congress, Democrats and Republicans, nearly unanimously said release these. And right now, Pam Bondi has suddenly started a new investigation. There is something in that law that says if there are pending criminal investigations, that there would be an exception, except it says that it has to be narrowly tailored, and they cannot use the excuse, this is a second clause, that this would be politically embarrassing or hurt someone politically. That can't be their motivation for doing it. So if she does this, if she refuses to release all of these Epstein files, this will be against the spirit and the words in that law.
We have to be hammering this every single second of every single day. We are going to be on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you want to support the show, another place, you can go follow me on Instagram at Jack Cocchiarella. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.